Ant colonies are made up of thousands of ants, each having their own specific jobs. At the top of the chain, there are the queens. Queen ants are the founders of all colonies. Once mated, she can stay fertilized for many years, laying millions of eggs. Some queens can lay thousands of eggs each day. They really are egg-laying machines. Queen ants also have the record for the longest living of all insects, ranging from 1 to up to 30 years. Next are the minor worker ants. Minor worker ants, or simply workers, are the most common ant found in a colony. These sterile females are the smallest ant, but they do the most work. Some look after the queen and brood, some forage for food from around the nest, whilst others maintain and expand the nest. Workers can live between a few months and up to 5 years. There are also soldier ants. Soldier ants are also known as major workers or bigheads. They are only present among certain ant species that are polymorphic, meaning that there are more than one adult form within the species. These sterile female ants are larger and stronger than typical workers. They protect their colony from large predators and use their strength and large jaws or mandibles to cut and carry large objects. In harvester ant species, the soldiers use their strength to crack open hard seeds. In leafcutter ant species, the soldiers cut through the thicker plants so that the minor workers can carry the clippings back to their nest. Some species have median workers that are sized between minor and major workers. Some of the most important ants are the princess ants. A princess is an unfertilized virgin queen. She has wings present, and so is an elate flying ant. Princesses take to the skies to mate on warm, humid summer days, also known as the nuptial flight, which will be discussed a little later. Once mated, they scurry along the ground to find a suitable nesting place to lay their eggs. They clip their own wings and use them as protein source to feed their new family. Lastly, there are the drones. Drones are the only male ants in a colony. They are born from unfertilized eggs. Drones are not like typical ants. They don't do any work in their nests, and they look more like wasps than ants. They are reproductive winged ants, so they are considered to be elates. They take to the skies on the same day as the princesses to mate during the nuptial flight. Once they have mated, they die. Drones will only survive a few months during the mating season. Their life is short-lived, but like all ants, they play a crucial part in the ant life cycle. The nuptial flight is seen as the first stage of the ant life cycle. The reproductive flying elate ants, an example, princesses and drones, take to the skies to mate. Something in the air, thought to be humidity and temperature, synchronizes nationwide flights. This allows individuals from different nests to mate. The elates will fly away from their nest to ensure outbreeding. Once the princesses are ready to mate, they release pheromones to attract drones to the location they have chosen to make their colony. They often try to outfly the drones so that only the strongest can mate with them. Mating takes place during the flight. Princesses usually mate with more than one drone. The sperm is stored in a sperm pocket that should last her throughout her lifetime, fertilizing tens of millions of eggs. Soon after the flight, the drones die and the princess lands in preparation to find a new home. A queen ant, as mentioned earlier, is an adult reproducing female ant within the colony. Generally, she will be the mother of all the other ants in that colony. Some female ants, such as the Cataglyphis cursor, do not need to mate to produce offspring, reproducing through asexual parthenogenesis or cloning, and all of those offspring will be female. Others, like those in the genus Chromatogaster, mate in the nuptial flight. Queen offspring develop from larvae specifically fed in order to become sexually mature among most species. Depending on the species, there can be either a single mother queen or potentially hundreds of fertile queens. The term queen is not particularly apt, as the queen ant has very little control over the colony as a whole. She has no known authority or decision-making control. Instead, her sole function is to reproduce. Therefore, the queen is best understood as the reproductive element of the colony, rather than a leader. Once a colony is established, the worker ants meet the queen's needs, such as giving her food and disposing of her waste. Because ant social structure is very complex, and individual ants are relatively simple, an ant colony can be thought of as a single organism, and the individual ants as cells or limbs of the organism, as the individuals can rarely survive on their own. In a colony, some ants may be unrelated to the queen, such as when the brood is captured in a raid and raised as the colony's own. The sex of each individual ant is determined by whether or not the egg is fertilized. The fertile eggs become female worker ants, and unfertilized eggs develop as males. If the fertilized eggs and pupae are well nurtured, they potentially become queens.
Foraging is another part of ant life that uses pheromones in order to communicate. In order for successful foraging, a colony must be able to exploit a resource to its fullest potential. Thus, locating and bringing new members of the colony to a food source is vital. This is accomplished by trail pheromones secreted by the ant. Here we see a scout ant foraging for food. As it moves, it leaves a broken trail scent of Z9-hexadecanol. This compound has been shown to be an attractant for ants and is used to mark trails. Research suggests that other compounds such as dolichoidal and iridomyrmecin may play a bigger role in trail pheromones. As the ants find sources of food, they collect enough to bring it back to the colony. On their return journey, they now leave a complete pheromone trail instead of a broken one. Once they reach the colony, they share the food they collected and thus recruit other ants to forage. As each ant receives food, it is drawn to follow the forager ant. This is done by following the trail it has left behind. As the ant moves, it leaves behind a broken pheromone trail as well. This then intensifies the signal of the trail and drives more ants to follow it. The importance of these pheromones is easily seen, but not much is known about them. They are secreted from the Dufors gland, but the quantities and the exact mix of pheromones has yet to be discovered.
Alarm pheromones, a pheromone which is released by an organism when damaged by a predator which warns other individuals that there is danger. Alarm pheromones are a mixture of compounds that are released when either the ant is attacked or is warning the other ants of danger. The pheromones often serve to alert, attract, and evoke aggression. The ants engage in form of alarm defense, in which same chemicals are used to repel enemies and to alert other ants in the nest. Some of the alarm defenses substances that have been found in various species are citronelle, dimethyl sulfate, and undecane. Some secretions are purely defense, such as formic acid. Alarm signals both alarm and attract some species, and others combine with odor trails that lead the nestmates toward or away from danger. Aggressive alarm. The colony members, usually the majors or the soldiers, are drawn toward threatening signal and seek to attack. Aggressive alarm signal works like this. Say there is an attack by a rival colony or a predator. It reacts by simultaneously discharging the contents of its reservoirs of its mandibular and Dufors gland.